my name is Jamie. I live in Saudi Arabia where it's raining outside. It's great. Oh my God. This happens like 1 or 2 times a year. I promise. It's not a thing that happens. Anyway, I live in Saudi Arabia. I have a makeup collection that just keeps getting larger, and yesterday it did. So let's talk about it. What ended up happening is that one of my good friends very kindly went back to the United States and had her baby. She very kindly offered to bring things back for me, and I was so good. I literally got a thing for my horse, and then I got 1 palette. 1. Do you know which one it is? I bet you don't. So this is from Adept Cosmetics, and it is the, oh, there's packaging involved. Adept is really good about their packaging. It's the Amunet palette. So if you watched my 2022 predictions video, which you don't have to, but you should. If you watched that video, I thought that I would be getting the Amunet palette in early 2022, and I thought I'd be getting the Amunet New Dark. There are 2 Amunet palettes. There's the dark and the light. So when I got back to the United States and I was like, hey, I'm ready to order, they were reformulating it. So I wasn't able to get it. I did end up getting the Heather Austin collaboration palette with Adept, and I got the Plain Jane Remastered. So here's the thing. I did not, in fact, get the Amunet Dark. I got the Amunet Light. Why? More purple. I'm a purple girl, not a blue girl. Here is the palette. It is really quite stunnisha, for real. You saw it on my shorts, if you saw my shorts. So I'm curious to see what this palette is about. Oh my God, there are Egyptian gods and goddesses, gods, I believe, on the packaging. It's very light, but it is. Do you see that? It's very, very subtle. That is so cute. I had to have this palette. Obviously, I had to have it. So all of the shade names are named after Egyptian gods and goddesses. I swatched it in my shorts, so I'm not gonna do that right now, but let's get into this gig, okay? Let's get into this. This is beautiful. All right. So the Amunet Light is on sale right now on the Adept website for $48. It normally retails for $53. When I swatched the Amunet Light at first, I was like, oh, these feel weird. They feel odd. They don't have like a creamy matte formula, and then it almost feels like the shimmer and duochrome, multichrome shades have maybe a film on them. They're not as creamy as maybe I'm used to. One really good thing about Adept is that it is cruelty. I've got to double check if it's vegan. I'm not quite sure. The packaging is really lovely. Apparently it is upcycled. And yeah, this is how they all look together. Look at these beautiful sisters. Yeah, this is gonna be good, okay? So what I really have liked about Adept in the past is the color story, for sure. So I'm interested to see how this performs. My complaint in the past about Adept has been that they just don't have staying power. They're a little temperamental to work with, but we'll see. I don't know how this is gonna perform. It has since reformulated. Like, I was introduced by the brand, or I was introduced by Heather Austin to the brand, and then, like I said, this palette in particular has since been reformulated. So I'm curious to see how it's gonna go. I guess I should prime my eyes first. Hang on. Okay, I'm primed now. What a ridiculous thing. So I'm gonna go in first with the really dark brown shade Imhotep, this shade right here. And we'll get started. I'm gonna pop that on my outer corner. We're just gonna do something kind of basic and usual for me, and that is a half cut crease, folks. We're gonna go pretty. We're gonna go nice today. This shade is not quite like as punchy as I thought it would, but okay, it's buildable. It's fine. I really love the shade names. This is a very natural choice in a palette for me, I will say. My boyfriend's gonna be like, really? So Imhotep was an Egyptian chancellor to the pharaoh Zoser, and it is believed that he is the architect or designer for the step pyramid of Zoser, which I have been to. More made up art history for you guys. There you go. If I haven't told you enough, I frickin' love Egypt. Love it. My boyfriend and I just watched Stargate. I'd never seen it. And it was entertaining, but not historically accurate whatsoever. Although, while I'm using Imhotep, I do really love the Mummy franchise. What a freaking great movie. Also, that meme, like, my sexuality is the cast of the Mummy. Yeah. Also, Brendan Fraser is a treasure. We should protect him at all costs. All right, so this is Imhotep. It is really lovely. I like, actually, that it's not quite as punchy as I would have thought. It's enjoyable. I do like that. Okay, next up, I'm gonna go into Tha, this purple, and this freaking raw ray shade is killing me already. By the way, my favorite goddess is Hathor, and Hathor is right here. Tha is the maker of things, the patron or craftsman. That's his job. Tha does stuff. Tha makes things. And that is also a really beautiful shade. These mats aren't quite so punchy, but I've been using a lot of Be Perfect lately, so that does kind of add up. I am enjoying how subtle this is in a way. And then I can kind of build it up a little bit. That is lovely. I sort of feel like this is definitely a day palette. I wonder if you could go deeper, but look at that. That is some really pretty blend. I will say, these Be Perfect brushes are where it's at as I drop it. I'm gonna go back into Imhotep a little bit and just kind of put more on. I want to use more shades, but I don't know, do I have to? It's really not necessary with how it's blending. Like, you could go into more, but I don't think you necessarily have to. I'm gonna cut my crease and watch some more RuPaul, and then I'll be right back. Okay, this is interesting. So this is technically a pressed pigment palette because it says Seth, Tha, and Anhur are not intended for use around the immediate eye area. So this means that the ingredients used in these shades are not approved by the FDA, but they would be approved in the EU. So just keep that in mind if you're worried about that sort of thing. I am not. Okay, so I'm gonna put down a little bit of glitter glue as well. That's been kind of the way I see this working out like the most successfully, because based on past experience, the shimmers have not held up that well over time, although they are just kind of the most beautiful things ever, you know, which is a shame. Like, for me, I want my duochromes and my shims to stick. I will say though, this is turning out very romantic, very pretty, and I'm here for it. I'm living. It's great. Okay, so now what do I put on my eyes? It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I think what I'm gonna do, oh my God. It's all good. I think I'm gonna go into Nephthys. Well, no. I'm gonna go into Anubis, and Anubis is the god of the dead. I'm gonna put that on kind of the meatiest part of my eyelid. And if I haven't said it already, this thing is gonna take a trip with me. I don't wonder where, do you? I will say this, is that it's interesting how Adept puts a lot of, like, they make their shimmers with a lot of black base. Do you see that? It's not bad, it's just a choice, you know? I'm gonna kind of leave a little bit of space just to ensure that I'm gonna do there what I wanna do, because I'm not sure yet. I don't like that that black base kind of shifts around. That's not really my favorite thing, but continuing on. Next, what should we do next? I think I'm gonna go into Hathor. We have to. This one. Okay, so Hathor is the goddess of the sky, fertility, and the goddess of women. She is a woman, or she is depicted as a woman with a cow's head. And that is beautiful. Is this now my new favorite shade ever? Hathor is my favorite goddess, Egyptian goddess. But this might be my favorite shade now. I'm gonna have to go back in to Anubis and kind of remap it, redefine it, but wow. This is a bit of a softer shade as well. I'm not having to kind of lift it so much out of the pan. And I hope you can see that going on. It's really beautiful. That's something I kind of like to do as well, is to keep the definition in my cut crease. I try to take the lightest shade that I'm gonna use and sort of stretch it all through the cut crease. Maybe not like quite as deep or anything, but just, yeah. And then I'm gonna go back into Anubis and kind of pat that in a little bit more. Like I said, I don't always prefer a black base on a shadow. Like, I understand why you would do that, to keep the blendability, but it kind of moves it around in a maybe slightly less than appealing way, but that is beautiful. I am gonna kind of pat the two together to try and just marry them a bit. Oh, ooh, ooh, hello. And then I'm gonna pat Nephthys, who is the goddess of the air. What else? The goddess of the air and the head of the family. I believe she's kind of like the sky goddess. I'll have to double check. I'm gonna pat that on the seam where I put Imhotep. This is just, oh my God. I'm flummoxed and flabbergasted. This is, I mean, it's hard to kind of decipher which one's which in a way. I mean, Hathor is definitely sticking out, but yeah, wow. Wow. Yeah. I'm so glad I got this palette. Oh my God. It does kind of suffer from the mattes being a little bit wayward, perhaps. I like that they're buildable. I just wish they stuck a little more. But, wow. I did something similar, like kind of, with my custom palette from Lethal. It had a bit of a similar vibe, but it doesn't have the same brilliance, to be honest. Like, those duochromes are lovely, but this, I would say, is still good. I think the mattes are a little bit better in that Lethal palette, and Lethal maybe in general, but this is kind of pretty. This is very pretty, kind of pretty. This is very pretty. So I'm gonna put down some liner and lashes and stuff, and when I come back, I'll finish up the lower lash line. Yeah, that's what I'll do. You're kind of seeing what's happening here, and I'm just gonna finish off the lower lash line and then I'll wrap it up. So I am going into Horus, and Horus is the son of Osiris and one of the most common symbols in Egyptian mythology. He is the falcon head god. I believe the god of the sun. No, Ra is the ram's head. And yeah, that's just suitably murky and nice. I'm gonna top that off, I think, and go back and blend a little bit with more yep, that shade. Not too much fallout, a little bit, not too much. And then I think I'm gonna actually take a little brush, and I'm gonna go into choices. I think I'm gonna go into Osiris. Osiris is the god of the underworld. And he possesses the scales by which to judge a person's heart or their spirit, to decide their fate, essentially. Is your heart lighter than a feather? Okay, I'm gonna finish this look off, kind of put on some finishing touches, and then I'll be right back and I'll give you my final thoughts. I think you already know. So we have the finished look here. I think you already know. This is stunning. This is kind of magical. This is precisely up my alley as a palette. It's a huge win to me. I am so freaking happy to have this. It is beautiful, and this may be, I think this is easily, no. This is my favorite Adept palette. That's it. That's it. That's all I have to say. I mean, well, no, it's not, but I really hope that these, like the longevity kind of is a bit better in this palette now that they've reformulated. I don't know, I'm just gonna have to see over time. But just based on color story and initial performance alone, I am just flummoxed, flabbergasted, hot, and bothered, I guess. Yeah, I said it. I said it like that too. I'm gonna take this palette with me to Egypt, and that will be super fun. The packaging's beautiful. I think that that's a really smart, cute choice. I love the shade names. I love the shades. I love the palette. I love the palette. I love the palette. Can I recommend Adept Cosmetics to you? Absolutely. That said, there are some caveats about how you should use their shadows in these palettes, and I think you're gonna have to go into it knowing that you may need glitter glue. you may have to put a little bit more effort in putting down the mats. That said, they're very, very blendable, so it's not really a problem. It's more of a buildable issue versus a blending issue, which if you have to pick the two, I think a building issue is the one to have. Like, having to blend out a mat that is a little bit tricky to blend out is not that fun and kind of can, you know, ruin your look if you're not careful. So again, there's just some little things about the formula that are a little bit like just, I'm nitpicking. I really am nitpicking. But in terms of like the concept, in terms of the palette design, the layout, the shade names, I mean, look at that. It's beautiful. Who can say they have that in a palette? There ain't no commercial palette on the market that has duochromes like this. Don't look to Pat McGrath for a duochrome. Look to these kinds of brands. Seriously, get it together. If you're looking for duochromes and different shades and different concepts from your mainstream brands, don't. Look at indie brands. Look at indie brands. That said, this is not cheap necessarily, but it's concept heavy, it's designed, it's curated, and it's freaking beautiful. Have I raved enough yet? Anyway, should you pick up this palette? Yes. It's on sale. Go do it. Got a lot of sale, but go do it. You'll like it. I like it. I love it. This is just my color story. I would definitely love to see a video on the dark palette and see what people create with that. But as it is, just for me and my purposes, I think the light is just as beautiful. And again, if I really have to pick and choose, if I really have to like make the palette darker, it's not that hard. I want the different shades. I want the color story that it is. Anyway, I've rambled. There you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Buy this palette. Truly, buy this palette. If you like makeup, buy this palette. You'll like it. You'll really like it. Try it. You'll like it. Okay, anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye.